What's up, CrossFit Nation? Just jumping in here to thank you all for the support so far. It truly means a lot to both Crystal and I, and we love to hear your feedback, so keep the feedback coming. Today, we have the honor of introducing part one of a two-part episode with Gabe Fisher. And so Gabe operates a CrossFit ministry in South Africa. He has an amazing story to share. He's a dedicated Christian father and community leader. I know that you guys are going to love this episode. Let's share some laughs, maybe share some tears. But it is a really touching and moving episode, interviewing a guy who's doing some really amazing work out there in South Africa. So part one of a two-part episode. I hope you enjoy. All right, Gabe Fisher, welcome to the CrossFit podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. We are super excited to chat to you, hear your story, and ask you a few questions. There's some CrossFit tragics here. We love having our fellow CrossFit brethren on the pod to chat about fitness, health, strength, and also how that kind of intercedes or interacts with faith and Christianity.
Cool. Awesome. Happy to be on and happy to talk shop, as we say.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, would you like to tell us kind of your background, your story, how you got where you are?
It is a convoluted story that only Christ could write, I would say. So I didn't get into CrossFit actually till I moved to South Africa about 11 years ago. Prior to that, my background is in soccer. I was a soccer guy, played in college, played a little semi-pro, was a grad assistant, had a few trials abroad, but never really caught on. So after my playing career ended, I started just working. I was in the workforce, doing odd jobs. I was in Georgia, I was in Tennessee, I was in South Dakota, I was in Louisiana, and throughout that course, I felt God was calling me to move to South Korea, which was completely off the radar for me. And so I kind of pulled like a Jonah move, where I was like, that's not my vibe, like I'm like that's, South Korea can't be right. I didn't hear you right, God. I'm gonna keep piddling over here. That wasn't me you were talking to. So fast forward, eventually ended up in South Korea, and while there, reconnected with someone I went to college with, who I had kind of like I knew who she was, but I didn't know her or have a relationship with her. And I saw that she was moving to Cape Town, and I thought that was very odd. I'm like, why would you move to Africa? And so this is how old I am. I sent her a message on Facebook, and we started talking. And fast forward a year later, we were married, and I end up moving to Cape Town. And so,
That's wild.
I mean, that's a common boy meets girl story, right?
That's common.
I love it.
We joke, we say we have an arranged marriage that we arranged ourselves.
I like
Mhm.
that.
Um, and
Well, maybe God
and
arranged it,
so, sorry, go ahead.
and maybe Jesus arranged it.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I could have totally worked out all those logistics myself, definitely.
With a little help from Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. I
Thank
love
you,
that.
thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. Appreciate it.
Um, and so that led you to Cape Town. I just want to just go backwards a little bit. You said that you felt a calling to Korea that you kind of ignored. But how did you interpret that calling? Because I know a lot of people that actually have listened to us and that I speak with in men's group or whatnot, they're always asking me, how do you know this is your calling? Because they
Mm.
have no concept of that. So if you could share what that calling felt like and how you knew that that was where you're being called. Yeah, what was your experience with that?
Well, I was kind of like in the day-to-day grind. I kind of felt like I needed the white picket fence, the golden retriever, 2.5 kids, all that stuff. And so it was very strange. I heard not an audible voice, but kind of very a still voice that was like, "You're going to Korea," and I was like, "I have no desire to go to Korea. That's not my thing." And so there were like kind of several confirmations um, after that moment. I think one was um, I had moved. I just finished working as a hospice like care nurse in Savannah, Georgia, And I had just moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, to work. And when I was there, I was like, okay, I was dating someone. I was like, this is it. We're gonna get married. Blah 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 blah. And I literally opened up the newspaper and it goes, number one airline in the world is Korean Airways. I'm like,
Yeah, I like
no,
it.
let's close that. Let's go to the next. And so I think this is how long ago it was. I turned on the TV, and it was Anthony Bourdain. Do you remember Anthony Bourdain?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And it was like no
rest in
reservations,
peace.
and I love that show, man. And it was like no reservations, and he was like in Seoul, Korea. I was like, ha ha ha, ha, let's turn that off. And then kind of the final straw was just like there's no running from it. I turned on social media, and this is like in the early days of YouTube, and the number one trending song in the world was Psy's Gangnam Style.
Which is sad.
I'm just like, all right, there's no running. You're gonna find me wherever I go. So for
Mhm.
me, that's kind of what it looked like. It was started kind of still and small, and then just kind of grew to like the shout where there's too many coincidences where it wasn't a coincidence at the end. So that's what it looked like
Yeah.
for me. But it looks different for everyone, I'm sure.
I mean, that's very similar to my experiences as
Is
well.
it?
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we're not going to get into mine.
Were you grounded in faith and did you already have a relationship with God at that time? So did you interpret those signs as from God, or was that something that you kind of realized later on in hindsight?
No, so I grew up in a Christian household. My parents divorced when I was 18, and then I kind of went through a wayward stage where it's just like, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing, write my own story. And so I knew God's voice. It was very clear and distinct for me, because I always kind of felt like that draw, like what I was doing was not what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm.
And so I was very aware because it was very distinct from my own desires. And so when that voice popped up, I had started to come back into faith and really be serious about my faith. And so it's like very clear. So I guess the short answer is yes, I was grounded in faith. Um,
Like that relates. We've spoken about this. It kind of seems to come up on every episode.
Mm.
Um, but that listening to the voice, and then knowing that it's God's calling because it's not something you would do if it was your choice.
yeah,
And that seems to be the common element there. Like if you were just making, trying to live your own path, which seems to fail pretty regularly. If you can tell the difference between something you know you need to do but you don't want to do, and then I've always think that if I really want to do it, it might not be his calling. It might just be
yeah,
me.
yeah. I mean, we constantly always kind of are called to check ourselves, right? Check our ego and check ourselves. It's kind of similar to CrossFit. Like there's a workout like you've done a million times, let's say like Fran or something, right? And then one day you're feeling a little niggle in your shoulder, your legs are a little bit tight after doing 26.1, and you think to yourself, I really don't need to do Fran RX. Maybe I'll go empty bar today, or maybe I'll do ring rows. Your ego is like, yeah, let's do it. But that still small voice is like, you need to scale today. So
Mm-mm.
that's kind of like the crossover that you can see. Yeah.
I actually like that. I need to consider that more often. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Don't do Fran every day. That's a bad. That's a bad.
No.
Love it. Okay, so then you're in South Africa,
Yep.
and
Oh,
you
the
you
story.
open a gym.
So yeah, sorry. So yeah, in South Africa, and at first, I hadn't started CrossFit yet. Actually, I was still kind of tertiarily involved in soccer. So I came working for a non-government organization. So in non-government organization speak. So on this side, we kind of call ourselves non-government workers. On the other side of the Atlantic, we're called missionaries. So if I switch out language here and there, it's just because I'm kind of used to doing that. So I was a non-government worker, working for an organization here, and I was volunteering for a local soccer academy. And I did that for 4 years. Had a lot of success there. I had quite a few of my guys go professional, um,
Oh, wow.
and then kind of COVID hit, and like everyone else in the world, kind of had a moment to kind of like stop, reflect on the trajectory of life, and I felt like everything I had wanted to do as a soccer player, I was able to finally accomplish through my coaching. And I felt like a release, like I could kind of look and pivot to something different for the next few years of my life. And at that point, I had gotten to CrossFit and I had gotten my L1 just for some reason. I couldn't tell you why I got my L1 during the period I was coaching soccer. I just felt like I should get it and just I went and got it. And so during COVID, we actually had to leave South Africa because South Africa had a really severe lockdown.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, all our paperwork was expiring, our passports, our visas, and the embassies and everything were shut down here. And so we had to take a repatriation flight back to the States, and we're in the States. And while there, I was kind of talking to my brain trust of friends. I said, "So how can we use? I think I want to use CrossFit as ministry." I said, "How can we go about doing that?" And so we started talking, and the only thing that came up was, "You need to open a gym." I go, "Great! Who has like $40,000 off the bat they can give me?" And of course, all of them said, "No, not me. No."
Me.
We're advisors.
Yeah, well, this is nice. It's a
Investors.
great idea. But they said, "I think you should probably start smaller. Why don't you start by just like running a class, like kind of like an outreach class?" I'm like, "That I can do." So my wife and I had our second child, came back to South Africa, and the affiliate I was training at, I said, "Hey, why don't in lieu of payment, I coach for you, and then in the off hours of the gym, you let me run an outreach class?" And they're like, "Awesome, great, do it." And that was kind of the birth
Cool.
of ministry through CrossFit, and eventually led to the founding of the gym that I run now.
That's
So
cool. That's really cool. I saw in the video that you did with CrossFit that you said that the gym is just it's just there for the glorification of God. Can you get into that a little bit and how you balance that?
it's it's a weird space to kind of operate in, right? Because CrossFit's a very this kind of big, sweaty machismo leads itself to vanity. It can. Um, but I kind of look at, like there's gyms that I think do it really well. I think Mayhem is a huge one that does it, that kind of blends the two, right? And there's lots of
Yeah.
gyms as well. And I've found that it's actually more common in the space than I thought once I got into it. But to go back on your question, when the gym was founded, it was founded to house the outreach, the ministry that I was doing. And over time, it's kind of blended and woven itself together. So we started a nonprofit, and the nonprofit has two goals. The one is it has two programs, I should say. The first one is the gym, and then the second one is the ministry, which is L327 Fitness.
Hmm.
But the whole goal is to kind of merge it so it kind of looks, I guess, so it kind of looks indistinguishable, and that's kind of the way it operates on some level. Um, but in South Africa, if you know anything about South African history, it was segregated up until very recently in the terms of
Yeah.
modern history, 94. So through our lifetimes, and the cultural setting now is kind of similar to, if you know anything about American cinema, the black exploitation era, so like Foxy Brown, Shaft, that's kind of where the cultural sensitivities are when it comes to race. Like you have integration, but it's only so far. There's still a huge
Mm.
socioeconomic barrier to fully
Yeah.
people kind of operating on the same level. So the
That's
gym,
kind of like,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say that's sort of like where America was at in the 70s
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
where South Africa feels like right
yeah,
now.
yeah. It feels very much like that. Like you jive, turkey, you sucker. That's kind of
Yeah.
that's kind of what it feels like. And this is my South African friends. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but from an outside in, that's what it feels like to me. It's kind of similar to the States in that way. So the gym provides a vehicle for people like, and I've had members tell me this. I've had white South Africans tell me this. They said there's not many spaces where I can come in and be an equal with someone who's black or colored and be the same. Usually the dynamic
Mm.
is I'm the boss, I'm the manager, and then this person works for me, or the dynamic's different. But when you're throwing down with somebody side by side, those barriers come down real quick.
Hmm.
So
Right.
so from a secular point, it does that. And then also, since it's a nonprofit, it actually funds the ministry side that we do. So I do outreach. I do local outreach missions, and I lean on the gym to kind of help fund fund that aspect. So we'll do fundraisers in the gym. Um, there's members of the gym I hope to one day bring with me to do outreach here locally. So it's a amalgamation. Still trying to figure out exactly how it works, but that's kind of how the gym is like operating right now.
With that context, given the like the environment there and what you spoke about, how have you found trying to instill like a no excuses kind of attitude amongst your clients in an environment where like mediocrity could be an easy choice given the amount of excuse they do have?
Think South Africans are actually really good at kind of self-selecting that out themselves. There's a phrase in Afrikaans. It's boer maak 'n plan, which means if stuff's not working, you have to make a plan to kind of make it work yourself. So that's kind of
Mm,
ingrained in the DNA of the culture. And I find I'm struggling to kind of think of a way where South Africans come in and I kind of have to like motivate. Um, I think the atmosphere for CrossFit here in South Africa is in this area particularly, there's still a lot of people who've never heard of it. And
yeah,
so, I mean, it's like they'll walk into the gym, they're like, "What on earth is this magical place?" Um, and I think, like each gym has its own atmosphere, right? And
yeah,
it starts from the top down and
Yes.
setting the tone, the people that will fit into the atmosphere you created, and the other people kind of self-select out. So I think it was Bosman or someone else in CrossFit HQ that was saying anyone can do CrossFit, but it's not for everyone.
yeah,
So you've already self-selected out a huge portion of the population that maybe it wouldn't be a good fit. And the ones that are left, it's kind of like, like Gideon when he was selected in the army, like the ones who aren't really paying attention, who, like if they drink from this stream, God said let them go. So I think the job for me as far as that goes is pretty easy. You can kind of pick them out. I find in my particular gym, it's not that huge an issue.
right.
And do
That's
you feel like you really intentionally set the tone for your gym and in the way that you lead, in the way that certain that are acceptable or not acceptable? Is that something you put a lot of intention into?
Yeah. I mean, so I think I don't put a lot in writing, and I think coming from the gym that I was previously at, that gym failed, so it ended up closing its doors and closing. So there are a lot of things I learned from that because I was on staff and I saw a lot of things. I was like, okay, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So I came in specifically trying to cut out the things that I didn't want in a gym. I said, I want my gym to look like this. I want it to be this. I want it to be this. I want it to be that. And then I tried to like enact that. So my background in coaching and soccer, like I knew there's certain things that could blend in. And I think what was interesting, so there's a bit of like extra runway I get as like being an American, like for better or for worse. Some people just see like me being an American as like, like I have like a certain level of authority being kind of like an
Hmm.
American. Um, or American is nicer, I guess is one way to put it. I guess is one way to put it. So when I opened the gym, I came to it. I came to that point as I've only done CrossFit in South Africa, so my perspective is like a South African CrossFitter. Like I've
Hmm.
never been a member of a gym in the States. So when I visit the States, like an American gym is a little bit weird to me because it's slightly different from the experience I've had only training in South
mm,
Africa. Like in South Africa, we love running 400s. That's
yeah.
you say that to an American CrossFitter, they go, you know,
I'm the
right?
outlier there. I love a good
Yeah,
400.
me too.
You guys are definitely invited to come visit. Um,
Cool.
but I would say that's a great question. That's a layered question, isn't it?
Well, it's just
Um,
interesting, right? Because as the leader
yeah,
of the gym, you really set the tone.
yeah,
And so if you're doing it from a place of being found like rooted in Christ,
yes,
I'm imagining that that translates out into the wider gym
it does.
community too. If you're standing in that truth.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple of local gyms, and I know the owners, and there's a marked difference between all of our gyms, right? You have your competitive gyms, you have your gyms that are like community focused, and then whatever it may be. So yeah, there is a difference. I would say it's a spiritual difference that you sense in the gym. Like on our mantle when you walk in, it says faith first, service, community, and those are like the three pillars that we're focused on. Now, how that's integrated in, I don't sit there with a microphone and demand everyone praise before class. But the first thing I do, because I coach the first class, is I open up with worship music. Like the gym's playing worship music first thing you come in the morning.
I love that.
Um, and I think for me, that sets the spiritual tone without, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it. So yeah,
Yeah, that's really sweet. I love that. So you said faith, community
service,
service,
faith,
faith,
service,
service,
community.
community.
Yep. And then on the backside of our lintel, it says live narrow. And I leave that
I
vague.
like it. Narrow
Yeah,
path.
you got
Narrow
it.
path. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like in the fitness space, yeah, live narrow. Yeah, you're focused in on your goals and achieving your goals. Like, yeah, it means that. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. It can mean that.
Is there something in the L327 fitness? Is that 327 Leviticus or something?
Lamentations 3:27.
Close.
It reads, "It is good for man to bear the yoke while he is young."
So that was sweet because in the video that you sent us, and so for those listening, we'll figure out how to link it, but you have this really beautiful video
Mm,
about what you're doing. And there's a young man in that video that talked about that verse.
yes.
And just so one of the sayings that we have with the podcast is the hard way is the way.
Yep.
And so the way we link fitness and faith, it's kind of the same, right? Like the hard way is the way. That's how we grow. That's how we improve as people. That's how we build resilience. And so hearing that young man talk about it, that's how I interpreted that too. Of like you do these things when you're young, and
Mhm.
that will translate to the rest of your time here.
Yep. That would the man, we call him Sledge, but his name's Akanya Bokolo. Yeah, Sledge.
Sledge. I like
I
it.
just saw him the other day.
Oh,
So something else that I saw in that video that we talk about often, we spoke about it on our last episode. You spoke about, or at least hinted at, using the gym as a means to train for then hardship outside of the gym. Well,
Mm,
that's me kind of paraphrasing what I
yeah.
think you were saying. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So there's kind of a couple of ways where when you're suffering, right? Like think of CrossFit or a WOD. The first time you have a CrossFit workout, it's really hard. You hit that sticking point workout and you just tend to kind of back away, right? But after you're experienced CrossFitter and you know that hard part's coming up, it could be like the top of the pyramid, like it was in 26.1. Like you're here now, workout's not over. It's actually only starting, right? Once you if you get there, right?
We got that time cap.
yeah.
I think
Ugh.
everyone got time captain look like, right?
I'm not ready to talk about it. I feel like I have to redo it, so I'm not ready to talk about
Well,
it.
there's no physical way I could redo that workout this week, let alone within the time needed to submit again. But anyway, I digress. But when you become an experienced CrossFitter, you know that sticking point's coming up, that hard time is coming up, right? Now that you've experience, instead of kind of backing away, you're like, okay, I'll just get there, get over it, and then to the next thing. So it's the same thing that we try to do with our outreach. Um, it's like we teach them, hey, Scripture says you're gonna face hard times. There will be trouble. It's not going to be easy, and the world tells you back away from hard times. Everything should be comfortable. Everything should be easy, right? So we just kind of instill the opposite and say, you know what? It's going to be hard, but we're going to give you tools and skills to get through it, and know that for you, eventually, when you get to the hard time, it's just a thing. It's not the thing, it's a thing. And the ultimate goal is I would love for them all to be believers, all to accept Christ, because that is ultimately the one thing that's going to give purpose and meaning to not just the hard times, but to life overall.
You just perfectly summarize the entire idea of this podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's very true. So I talked about this on our last episode, but I started CrossFit 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
So I walked into that gym and Sam was like, what's this magical place? Like, I knew what a barbell was, but I'd never picked one up.
Yeah.
As a mom of 3, and I'm 40 now, so I guess late 30s at the time. But I don't think, like, to me, that gaining physical strength really came along with gaining spiritual strength. Like, they're
Yep.
very, very linked for me.
Right.
And I'm sure I'm not unique in that, but it's just, to me, incredible how doing those physical hard things does transfer over to having more spiritual strength. And what an amazing gift to give to young people. It came to me in God's perfect timing, but gosh, I wish it would have come to me when I was younger. So what you're doing is incredible.
Thank you. I totally agree with that. So there's a term for that. We call it, it's like anti-Gnosticism. And Gnosticism is the old ancient thing that we're physical and spiritual, and that we can focus as believers. It came about the church during a time where it was the spiritual was the only thing that's important, and we can do whatever we want with the body, right? And we kind of see that creeping in again, where hyper spiritual, physical doesn't matter. But in reality, God created both integrated together. So we don't do one at the expense of the other. We're meant to train both. And so I think that's the goal that we all should be striving for.
That's interesting because you can see that in CrossFit a lot too. Like, it's so hyper physical, right? It's it can be the opposite, where everything's about how you look, how much weight you can lift, all these things.
Yep.
But does that really matter if you don't have this other piece?
You have to have a why. What's your why? Right. I was going to say, like, there's a young person who wanted to redo and retest. He wanted to redo 26.1. I just said, why? I said, what's your why? Is it, do you think you're going to qualify for quarterfinals? Because he has the capacity to do it. Like, or is it you just want to be higher up the leaderboard? Like, what's your why? And so it really depends on, like, like, if your why is like, I'm going to be the best CrossFitter I'm ever going to be. I'm going to make it to the games, which we all said are our first year in CrossFit, right? But I think ultimately,
never said it.
I'm still saying it. I'm hoping that when I get past 45, I still have enough left in the tank. But like, if your why is like, I'm gonna be the best CrossFitter ever, we see CrossFitters burn out like after a certain, like, 6 years or something like that. They're like, I used to do CrossFit, because their why was to make it to the games. In reality, you're not gonna make it. If your why is to be healthy, to have community, those are the people that have longevity. So your why is like super important.
Well, that's good for me to think about then.
You should, by that, you should do it. Do it, because I want to see the video. That would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, it's my low back. I'll tell you what.
My quads. That workout is what I call KFC. Just fried legs. Just like legs are just done. Just done.
I haven't done it yet. I'll potentially do it tomorrow, but I'm in that place where I have a niggling injury, so I'm trying to decide. I'll decide tomorrow whether it's worth my endeavor.
It's pace. It's all about pacing your capacity, right? So I have the most African injury ever. So we have baboons that come to the gym pretty much daily.
Oh, no.
And they're big, man. They're like the size of like golden retrievers with teeth and opposable thumbs. So yeah. And so one came into the gym looking for an apple, and I chased it out. And me being over 40, I shouldn't sprint cold. And my hamstring goes pop. And so I have a niggling hamstring injury that's really been bothering me. So I feel you. Well,
got a great one for it.
Okay, but I definitely thought you were going to tell us a baboon attacked you.
You had to fight it off.
No, they wouldn't dare attack me. No.
Okay.
I love it.
That's pretty good.
How long until you click over that 45?
My wife knows how old I am. I forget. Next year, I think I'm 44 now.
Nice.
44, 45. I don't know.
I
It's
keep
not
that in.
important.
That's like, I'm in the same boat. I'm 42, turning
See?
43. And so I'm like waiting for 45 to click over that I'm like the young guy again. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like not hurt myself between now and 45.
Just
And
pull back, just pull back. But yeah, I
yeah,
feel you, man. Like,
and then
yeah,
take a
I
run.
honestly don't know how old I am. Like, I used to count all that stuff. I was like, okay. I get ice cream cake. That's all I'm excited about.
I love
That's
it.
fair. So I'm curious about the climate for Christianity in South Africa.
Ooh, that's good.
So we're at church the other day, and our pastor was saying that over 80% of South Africans would consider themselves Christian. But realistically, it's more of a syncretism. That's a fancy word of saying I'm spiritual and I've incorporated all this other stuff in, and now I'm a Christian. So, for instance, it's not uncommon for my Black South African friends to, when they're praying, they'll pray, "Dear Lord Jesus, help me with X, Y, and Z," and also "Ancestors, help me with X, Y, and Z"
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously. Um, but it's an interesting mix. So Islam, there's a strong Islam influence in South Africa, specifically in the colored community. I can hear the call to prayer when I drive through certain neighborhoods. Um, but it's interesting as well because the same issues we have in Christianity, where people would say, I'm Christian and they're just culturally Christian. You have the same thing in Islam. So I've had
Mm,
players that I've known for years, and I had no clue they were a Muslim until Ramadan came around, where they weren't able to eat until, until they broke fast in the evening. So I was like, oh,
yeah.
you're Muslim. Your mom smokes. It's like, okay, all right. So I would say some similarities to the States, but there's a bit more, I'd say, multiculturalism with the African influence, with the ancestral worship. And yeah, it's not uncommon for me to see witch doctors when I drive through neighborhoods. Like, I can spot
Mhm.
them. So that's maybe a bit foreign, a bit exotic, I would say.
And so is the reception to what you're doing with your ministry and outreach, is it pretty warm?
I think in a culture where there's a lot of disparity, if you're willing to help, people will be very forgiving of a lot and accepting of a lot. But at the same time, I try to be sensitive to the fact that, one, I'm an American. Two, I'm a believer, and I don't want to use like use it as a bully pulpit. So I'd say it's receptive, but I'm probably a bit more subversive with it, right? So when
Mm,
we opened our Friday night lights the other night, and I started to say, "Hey, I know everyone here's not a Christian, but I want you to know that the thing that has motivated us to love you guys the way that we do and open this gym and create the space for you is our faith in Christ. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to pray, and just pray right now." So that's how I would express it in certain instances. So there's a receptivity to it, but there's also is probably a bit of pushback. I would guess it's been a couple years since I've been to the States. I would guess it's not as overt a pushback as you receive in the States,
mm.
but it definitely is there.
Have you experienced any like persecution around that?
Um, no, I've received more persecution for being American, I would say. I would say. But like I'll be very I pick fights sometimes. um, and I'll do it more so with my Black community, because you have that, like, so I'll give you an example. So in the, I'm going to mispronounce it, is in the Xhosa culture, there is still ritualistic ceremonies when young men become men,
Mhm.
and this might be similar to in Australia as well. I'd imagine, where the boys, when they reach a certain age, they'll go to the bush and they'll have an encounter with the ancestors. They will actually speak to the ancestors. At that point, they come back, and for some, there is a marked difference from before and after, where there's like a spiritual change in them. Like, you can see their countenances change. Um, so I'm very I push back a lot on that. I said, like if you call yourself a Christian, you know, Christ very clearly says we're not supposed to do divination. We're not supposed to speak to the ancestors. We're not supposed to do these things. So if you call yourself a
Yeah,
believer,
calling on a spirit is calling on a demonic spirit.
exactly. And like growing up in Louisiana, like it's funny how similar it is, like with voodoo and stuff. Like it's like, oh, that's the same, yeah, same thing. Um,
Oh.
you know, um, like this spiritual person you're going to see to get advice from, they're not talking to the ancestors. They're not giving you anything worthwhile. And actually Christ tells you you're not supposed to do that. So I'll pick fights with that more so than anything.
That's interesting. Yeah, I admire that the courage it must take to do that, to
Mm.
call out somebody for, their traditional belief system. That must be a difficult thing to do.
It's taking time. I mean, I didn't get off the airplane and start doing it. I mean,
It just sent you straight back home. Is out.
you're a sinner, you're a sinner, you're a sinner, you know. No,
I think
yeah, it's
there's like a
relationship.
cross
Go ahead.
there's a crossover with like coaching in
Yeah,
CrossFit there. I'm a coach myself, but you're not going to walk straight into somebody on their first day. Or when I've been a new coach to many gyms because I move around a bit. I'm not going to walk into my first day and be like, "You're squatting wrong. You're doing like." They're,
yeah,
they're going to hate me. So you have
yeah,
to build that relationship over a few
yep,
years. Once you get that trust, you go like, "Hey, I think we could work on that squat."
yep. Exactly, exactly. And it's the same kind of tact, really.
Um, so when most people treat fitness as a hobby, and you've treated it as a mission.
Mm.
Um, how is, as an affiliate owner, how is that translated into like your personal, spiritual, professional growth? And then how do you prevent the business side of things? I've been there too, impacting in a negative way, like you're or diluting the mission, so to speak.
Still trying to figure that one out. I think so. My wife and I talk about first things first, right? Um, there's so much that you can do that is good. How do you pick which good to do?
Mm.
So CrossFit in and of itself is a amazing thing. Where it's the hedge against what is it? Glassman says it's a hedge against the onslaught of metabolic diseases. That's fantastic. That is life changing in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So even
Yeah.
if you just do CrossFit, shout out to all my CrossFit bros out there. Even if you do CrossFit, you guys are doing amazing work. I have to say that. So I think it's a constant thing to kind of like wrestle with, right? So and this is something I'm still struggling to try to figure out. How do I not put so much effort or put all my effort into just the running the affiliate and neglecting kind of like, we need to get our Bible study up and running. Neglecting, excuse me, having those hard conversations with the youth that are in our discipleship program. And it's a constant battle, man. I would say I don't have it down. I can't give you a definitive answer. It's like if you do this on Monday, and then Tuesday you do this, and then Wednesday you do this. It's
Yeah.
more of just like, okay, this is what's on my plate to do today. I need to pick which one, and then it comes back to your relationship with God, giving me discernment on how to figure out which one is probably the greater good. Because if I found myself getting into just the minutia of the day to day, then I'll kind of pick whatever I feel or think is right. And then I look back 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that? You know? So it
Mm.
really comes back to just like being really in tune to one, being in the word. If you have a group of people around you that are feeding you spiritually, being in touch with them so they can call you out and hold you accountable for certain things. And then, I think the next thing is just being like in the word. So I would say that.
Do you do you find that you have to continually remind yourself that you're just a steward of this?
I I that's a good question. I would say I try to say that phrasing as much as I can. People are like because people are like, "Oh man, it's amazing you're doing this in South Africa." It's like, no, I'm just the captain, and the ship is I don't own the ship. It's God's ship. So I am the steward of it. I try to always constantly, like I said, be in touch with my bro guys. Like, dude, like you get around guys, your friends, and they'll knock you down real quick. So
keep you humble.
keep you humble. So they do a good job of that. I appreciate them for doing that. Yeah, I'd say, I mean, I'm human, so yeah, I definitely fight that. Like, oh, wow, I did something great today. No, you didn't. It was God acting through you. So it's kind of a daily thing.
Do you have daily non-negotiables that you do to keep yourself grounded in that space?
I need to. I have 4 kids under the age of 8. Um,
Oh wow,
and I
that's cool.
think
Yeah.
they keep me busy enough where I don't have a lot of time to kind of beat my chest.
Yeah.
They keep me grounded. Like, Daddy, you look fat.
My gosh. Yeah, I have 3 girls, and they can be brutally honest.
They
Yeah.
aren't they? Truth sayers. My
Yeah.
kids are knowledgeable enough in CrossFit now. They're like, Daddy, why didn't you go unbroken? I was like,
Word.
you know, why is
Yeah.
Colton Merton going unbroken? He's your height, Dad. Like, I don't know.
That's harsh. Do you see the video he posted from a few years ago? He did 1,000 wall balls for time.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh
Colton's
my
a beast,
gosh.
man. But my kids, it's
Yeah.
funny. They couldn't tell you who Cristiano Ronaldo is. Couldn't tell you who Messi is. They couldn't tell you anything else. They love Justin Medeiros. They love Jason Hopper. And they're like, oh, who's that? It's like, oh, yeah, I know what that is. I'm like, how do you know what that is? Like,
That's awesome.
That is. We
Crystal's
had
daughters.
we had the honor of interviewing Ariel Lowen a couple weeks ago.
I watched that one. That was awesome.
And I words don't always come to me. But it's like, my girls don't know any professional athletes. That's the word that I was
That's what
looking
you're
for.
supposed to say.
Professional athletes. I think I said sports athletes. But they know Ariel Lowen. They know who Danielle Brandon is. Like, it's the female CrossFitters. But they would have I don't even think they know who Michael Jordan is, if I'm being honest.
That's my
so
kids
it's pretty
are
funny.
Yeah.
And do they come into the gym and work out?
Yeah, we have a kids class we have a decent homeschool community here. So my kids actually train twice a week.
Oh wow.
Does your wife homeschool? Do you homeschool your kids?
Yeah, my wife homeschools. She's stronger than me in so many ways. She homeschools, and we created a kids class it's like a huge. So the way it works is the kids class will go first, and then the moms will train after, or the parents will train after. And it's created like this really super cool community that we have in the gym. So.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I homeschooled. So my girls are 13, 10, and 6.
Okay.
And I homeschooled them all the way up until this year. They're in school this year. We had some life changes and I needed to work. And so they're in school, which their school's beautiful.
Awesome.
But I feel so thankful and blessed beyond that I was able to spend all those years with them every day. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's work, man. It is hard work.
And what is your wife's name?
Lindsay.
Shout out to Lindsay for doing it, because 4 under 8, that's real.
They are brutal. My youngest one, her name is Shiloh, which means place of peace, and she's not. I mean, she's. I love her.
Yeah.
She'll come in and scream at you and just like hit her brothers for no reason, and she's like 2.
And you're kind of like, I don't know about you and your wife, but with my third, I'm like, you guys just let her be.
Yeah.
Like, she's fine.
Well,
like, Neva, don't hit, but
just do it. Well, it's funny. So we have girl, 2 boys, girl, and the youngest one picks on the youngest boy. Like, she hits him and takes his food, and he's like 3, and he's big. Like, he's the size of my 5-year-old. But she literally just walks up to him and just like.
She's the baby. She gets what she needs.
And we had to tell him, like, just push her over.
Yeah.
Just
like, you're bigger than her.
Eventually.
And just push her over. But
yeah,
she's put him in a rear naked chokehold and almost had him blacked out. It's It's insane.
You gotta love those youngest children.
Feral.
And then
She's
the
my honey
oldest daughter
badger.
is just, yes.
Good.
The oldest daughter is just trying to hold it down for everyone.
Yes. Like,
Mhm.
Mom, Dad, someone's bleeding.
Yeah. You're like, I'll get to it.
Oh,
How bad is the blood?
is there a digit that's separated from the body? It's
Mhm.
fine. Let me finish my
Yeah.
coffee.
I remember doing schoolwork with my oldest two, and the youngest one just being so unwilling to let us have any focused time.
Yes.
So I would buy these organic mini marshmallows from Whole Foods
Yep.
and just throw them. And so, like, then she would run off and go find it and then come back and I'd throw another one just to get like 10 minutes of.
Yes. It's like a
Those are wonderful
distraction.
times.
Fetch
Throw
with a
changing
dog.
the floor, then running out the room.
Yeah, hot parenting tips over here.
It's good to know we're not the only ones that do that kind of stuff.
No, we're all just trying our best.
Yeah, we are. We so are.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
And so I'm curious what your ministry, because do you take it from the gym out into South Africa, like into communities that are not necessarily coming into the gym? And what does that look like for you?
We have one specific town that we go to that I've built a partnership with a lady who comes to our gym. It's a town called Beaufort West. It's in the middle of the desert region. It's literally like the geographical dead center between Johannesburg and Cape Town. It is a desolate place. There is nothing there. It's just like sage and dirt. And she has a farm, and we just went there in October. We raised funds to go in October, but we go there, and on her farm, we bring youth and local people there, and we run like a CrossFit class. And then we'll go and we do a dump ministry there, and then there's also like a feeding scheme, which is I'm trying to think of how to translate that to American English. It's a soup kitchen, a soup kitchen. People think scheme. What do you mean? What do you mean scheme? No, it's a soup kitchen, and we go and we do there, and it is amazing. I've been doing that personally for I'd say 4 or 5 years. But when we first started our outreach, I took them to the farm and I did Murph in the desert. We built a rig
Oh, wow.
on the property in the desert. And we did Murph. I'll have to send you guys a video. It's awesome.
Is that the one on the video or a different Murph?
It's a different video.
Okay. I like it.
Oh, I love that. What did you build the rig out of? You just brought equipment or you kind of made it yourself?
I had bars welded, and then we had these posts, and the ground is so hard you have to like chisel it like with I forget what you call it. Like the guys were there like chiseling through the rock. And then we laid the posts, cemented them in, then we drilled the poles like that. So we made like a rig there. It's still there. It needs to be
Sweet.
replaced. It's but
we need to go.
Yeah.
you guys, dude, you guys gotta come.
I'll definitely come out.
You have an
I like
open
to travel.
invitation.
Love it.
But we go there and we'll do stuff there, and it's awesome. For me, it's very special to support her and her ministry, what she's doing there. But we do that. And then the plan this year is to take L327, since I've been, like investing in them for the last few years, for them now to take kind of what I've imbued in them back to the communities that they're from. So there's a township that's like a couple 100 meters away from the gym. We want to do a class there there's actually a lady who's a member of our gym. She runs an after school program in the township, and we want to actually run the L327 class 1 day a week in the township. So we're trying to figure out the logistics of that to get that sorted. So we definitely want to give back to the community, and kind of like, the scripture talks about going and making disciples. So you have to go and make disciples. So
Yeah.
we're in the process of doing that.
That's beautiful. That's kind of what God told us to do with this podcast. And we're like, I'm not the person.
Yep.
I'm a mess. I'm muddy. I'm whatever. And here we
We
are.
all are.
But
We all are.
Oh yeah. I'm curious when you brought Murph into that sort of like desert township environment. were people excited for it? Were they confused? Like, what was the reception for that? Because Murph's a big workout.
Didn't you start with Murph?
Yeah.
when
I did.
I brought it there, and you just gave me a crazy idea that I may try to do one day. It was the first year of L327, and so we spent the whole year training for Murph. And I only took, I think, 7 people there to the farm. We stayed on the farm. We woke up the next morning. We did early in the morning before the temperatures really skyrocketed. And then after that, we did the first outreach for the town people. So they came to us, and we did a workout. I wasn't going to make them do Murph; they would have died. But
Yeah.
we did like a little CrossFit class there, and that kind of started the trend that we've tried to continue on. But yeah, I mean, they have no clue what CrossFit is. They've never even heard the word CrossFit. They've done traditional. I mean, South Africa is a huge rugby country. Sorry about that, Masi friend. South Africa, so they do rugby there. And it's not rugby; it's the rugby. They do the rugby. Yeah. So
Love it.
It's kind of cool to remember too, because I think here in the States, we can get bogged down in the like, well, let me get my lifters on. Let me get my belt and my grips and my like wrist guards so my grips don't hurt my wrists.
And then you just got people out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Maybe probably without shoes.
And I would say, I wanted to circle back to something you said. Like God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So that would be my encouragement to you guys, right? Like, like you think of the disciples he called, they were like fishermen. He didn't go to the synagogues and get the most scholared people and, the most learned people. He went to the common everyday person. And like, that's why I feel like so humbled that I'm able to do what I do, because I'm just a guy. I'm a guy from a small town in Louisiana. I'm not the most learned. I'm not the biggest, like most impressive person when you meet me. I'm actually quite short. I'm 5'6".
It's good for CrossFit.
It's great for CrossFit. Matt Fraser, right? So like, yeah, just be encouraged that, I think like you talked about being stewards, circling back and being stewards, right? I think it's easy when you realize you have a real appreciation for where you came from, who you are. I'm a sinner, small town guy, and I'm sure you guys have a story as well. So that helps kind of keep me grounded. So be encouraged in that.
I love that. That kind of leads into the next one quite well, but I haven't spoke too much about this, but I've hinted at it a couple of times. But my plan for all this in the future is to build like a veteran restoration compound. With that in mind, how have you found, with your experience at CrossFit Masi, how have you found that like transitioning someone from a survival or a trauma experience to a place of like high performance and physical excellence?
What's that process like, or what I can tell you a story, what it looks like currently. I don't know what the end goal is.
Oh, I'd love a story.
So there's a young man in my program. I won't tell you his name, but when I first met him, he had to be like 14. His 2-year-old sister had just passed away in a like super tragic way. They were at church and in a township, and a wall fell and she died. And at the time, my daughter was the same age as this. At the time, my daughter was the same age as his sister. And so when he came to us struggling, but still just had a smile on his face, just a good kid. And like just years and years and years, just being with them, working with them. Not a troublemaker, but just going through that trauma, right? And then like he stayed in my house and like goes to church with me and just like working through like the stuff that you work through when you go through something really hard like that.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, his older brother died
Mm.
from a weird undiagnosed heart issue. And what does it look like? It's hard, really hard. And I think it's just like showing up day to day, answering calls late at night, giving a ride here, um, talking to his mom. It's, you know, paying for his ride for someone to go to his brother's burial back in their homeland out east. It's messy,
Yeah.
but there is hope because it's not something we can do by our own strength. Sorry, I'm losing it.
No, don't apologize.
Um,
Mm.
I mean, it just shows how what you're doing is so impactful to the community and how real it is.
yeah. Ah,
Well, you become family. Yeah.
mm,
And in those moments where I'm sure this young man is only going to benefit from the foundation that, he has in part from you, it sounds like, and just showing up in those hard moments,
yeah.
saying, I'm here.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's like you teach the physical, right? But that gives you the space to speak into the hard things, like
Mhm.
like show love in a way that they can receive it. Because like he lives with his mom and his grandmother. His dad lives in the area, and then he sees them, but like just not connected, But just like sending him a message, letting him know that he's still connected, that he's not forgotten. And yeah, it's hard. I think with trauma, I would say routine is a friend, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
when you're out of routine, that's when that cycle and the thoughts start whirling up, right? It's the routine, and it's also accountability, right? It's kind of like think of like someone calling and checking on you. Hey, you weren't here this week, or hey, what's going on? Hey, I noticed you're a bit off in class today. What's going on? How's school? How's this? How's that? So I think for us in the program, it's that accountability, a consistency of the programming. Like we're going to be here. Like they don't have to call and ask me if we're going to have class today. It's it's going to be there. The class is going to be there,
Mhm.
and then also kind of creating like a pseudo family as well. Like the guys and the girls in our program, just being there, talking to them, knowing that they're going to be there with them. We're going to share a meal together. We're going to do stuff together. We're going to have these cool core memories together. So I think it's a lot of that.
Yeah. And it's
And he also,
almost his only opportunity to come out of something so traumatic.
yep, yep,
That's really powerful.
Mm.
It kind of reminds me in the video that we saw that you sent, one of the young men said that you've become his father figure
that's
and that the gym
crazy.
has
I
become his
still think that's
family.
crazy, man.
That's so touching.
Do you feel like me? Are you sure it's me? Or
Yeah, it's like,
because it's
dude,
beautiful.
dude, I'm a mess.
Just trying to figure out how to put my pants on.
Yeah, well, we think of like like our parents, like our parents were like our age, and you're like, we thought they were perfect and superhuman. You're like, dude, I'm a mess, and then you realize your parents
Mhm.
were a mess too.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah. I don't
explains
know
a
what
lot.
I'm doing. I'm just out here. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it is a beautiful testament to what you've built because CrossFit in general bonds people really quickly, I think,
Yes.
because it's that shared physical hardship,
Yep.
that equal playing field of we're all in this together. But then you add that layer of spirituality, and I'm just imagining it becomes even more special.
I hope you've been enjoying the first part of our 2-part series with Gabe Fisher. Amazing person doing amazing things. Watch out over the coming weeks for part 2, where we dive further into Gabe's story and get to know him a little better. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.